There's a lot of debate on who the best conference is. It's between two, the Big Ten and the SEC. And there's two kind of thought processes going on. Big Ten has the best teams right now. SEC has the more consistent conference top to bottom. And I think both have legitimate arguments to who is the best conference. But there are actual games to be played on the field where we're not even talking about hypotheticals anymore. And we don't have to wait to the end of the season to begin comparing these conferences and how they stack up. So I wanted to walk through, I've got 6 games of conference showdowns to kind of give us an idea of where these conferences are at. First one, Louisville versus Ole Miss. What kind of conference is the ACC? Is it Miami and no one else? Or is there depth there that we're not quite expecting? Because if Louisville can compete with Ole Miss is considered to be one of the higher SEC teams that has a really good chance to make the playoffs. This would be an interesting game. I think I lean Ole Miss, but what can Louisville show in this Week 1 matchup? I think that's going to be an important game and a game that the ACC really wants to compete in to kind of show the rest of the year what kind of conference they are. Also, if Louisville can upset Ole Miss and Miami beat Louisville, like it bolsters Miami's resume too. So the ACC as a whole can really get a boost here in this one. Oregon versus Oklahoma State in Week 2. The rest of these games are going to be in Week 2. It's interesting. I don't think Oregon is going to necessarily struggle in this game, but it's just another test. What kind of team is Oklahoma State? What kind of physicality does the Big 12 produce, or is it kind of just going to be a matchup like it always is? You know, you have a good offense, good skill players at Oklahoma State, but the line is going to whip up. Oregon's going to whip up on Oklahoma State's line. Kind of like what happened against Texas Tech in the playoffs last year. There's just something to watch. Like, what are we looking at here? What kind of teams, what kind of conferences are we looking at? And then these two back-to-back, same week, very similar. There's not a more cut and dry example of what we're looking at. And that's Ohio State versus Texas. That's best on best. And then you have Oklahoma going to Michigan. And that's kind of your tier 2 of, you have your tier 1s going at it, your tier 2s going at it. And, you know, do they split? I think it would be more in line with our way of thinking if Ohio State beats Texas and then Oklahoma beats Michigan. But what if we have a sweep? So what if the Big Ten, Ohio State beats Texas and Michigan beats Oklahoma? Well, then we have the best on best goes Big Ten. But what if that second tier starts beating the SEC? Then the Big Ten is really separating themselves. But what if you have Texas finally getting over the hump and an SEC team finally beating one of the best Big Ten teams and Oklahoma beats Michigan? Then you have the SEC kind of correcting course and going back trying to get that best conference title where there is no debate behind it. And so I think those are two games that people are going to be tuned into. I think you're going to have a lot of conference fans, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me to be fans of a conference, but conference fans really rooting for their preferred conference. And there will be a lot of trolling on the internet and social media of these fan bases on which conference is better, just based off of Week 2. But it's the best example of what we have. This game, so we talked best on best and then good on good. Let's talk bad on bad. And maybe not bad, but just kind of okay, just kind of average. And that's Mississippi State versus Minnesota. I think this is a really interesting game. It's not a game that a whole lot of people are going to tune into, but both are at the bottom level of their conferences just from a predictive standpoint. Minnesota maybe slightly higher than Mississippi State. But what if Mississippi State just goes in there and beats them with no trouble? Again, that's kind of in line with what we're thinking. But if Minnesota puts up a fight and beats Mississippi State, that's a deeper conference that you're looking at. I think that game can also tell a lot, even if it's not your best on best or your good on good. And then the last game that is going to be important. In this game, not important to the SEC whatsoever, but super important to the Big 12, and that is Arkansas versus Utah. That is the bottom SEC team in all predictions. The bottom SEC team versus one of the best Big 12 teams. The Big 12 has to have this win. It's at night. They need to take this. Utah needs to beat Arkansas to, if they want any hope of showing their grit as a conference. And, I think they want two Big 12 teams in their way, like a combined three from the ACC and the Big 12. That doesn't happen unless, Louisville can take care of business or Utah can take care of business. And Utah should. Louisville would be a big one to get. But those are the top conference showdowns that I think are going to tell us a little bit about how these conferences stack up.